So a few days ago, Todd McFarlane began to release an image here and an image there for an upcoming wave of DC Multiverse action figures based on Dark Knight's death metal speed metal one-shot. The title that involves Barry Allen and Wally West and Wallace West and Jay Garrick trying to outrun the Dark Flashes and an iteration of the Batman Who Laughs, all of which are very, very fast. That's why it was called speed metal. And it's also a variation on, you know, what speed metal is. That's not a very accurate representation of speed metal at all, sorry. So today, upon opening up my peepers and going downstairs for breakfast and checking my Instagram, as is my custom, I noticed that the entire wave had been revealed. Now, we knew what figures it was going to be, because, as I've mentioned in past videos, this is the age of Instagram, and if there is a leak to be had, then the leak will happen, and we will know. So I knew exactly what characters it was going to be. Besides, when they released the first image of the first speed metal figure of Jay Garrick, I was like, okay, I know exactly where they're going with this. It's going to be a 4-figure wave, and the collectibility is going to be that variant of the speed metal Batman Who Laughs. And that's exactly what I saw over breakfast. Exactly that. And at first I was like, well, I'm typically of the mind where I think it's a good idea to release the basic versions of characters before you go ahead and release weird variants. And in this case, variants that only existed for one issue, except for Wally West. So when I saw the full wave, I was like, I was expecting that. They look cool. But darn it, I want a regular version of Jay Garrick first, and a regular version of Wallace West. But then I took a breath and realized that, you know, chances are Todd's going to release gold label versions of Jay Garrick and Wallace West in their current contemporary classic suits. So I'm not too worried about that going forward at this point. Again, I still do think as a general rule, you should release a version of a character that is their basic version before you start doing some sort of weird variants. But I don't own the company, and I don't make the decisions, so I just gotta take it as it comes, which is exactly what we're gonna do. We are going to examine this wave of figures. I think I would like to start with Wallace. I can appreciate the fact that there is so much new sculpting. I don't know for sure. I think that the torso and the upper arms may be reworked, digitally reworked versions of the television version of Flash. Not a bad take on the suit. At this point, I think what might be prudent is to take a little look-see-doodle at the issue of Speed Metal and decide how close they are to the source material. When I look at the cover here for Speed Metal, Wallace's suit doesn't seem too far off the mark, but really we need a better look. Okay, let's see. That image is kind of in shade. That one, he's behind Jay Garrick's arm. That one, he's crouching. There he is running. That might be the best one I've seen yet. Okay, I've gone through all the images, and that is the best, clearest view that I can get of this suit with the most detail. And yeah, I think looking at these side by side, I think it's certainly a very reasonable attempt at this suit. There's actually more detail in the figure than there is in the suit. Old bull-hatted Jay Garrick, I think that this is okay. I feel like they may have gotten the placement of the red a little bit off with the actual figure. It's supposed to go all the way up to his collar, and the figure, it's a blue vest with red sleeves. So they didn't quite hit the mark as far as accuracy with Jay Garrick's suit. The Jay Garrick figure is, in my opinion, probably one of the most kooky out of the lot. Interesting looking. Very interesting looking. As a figure, makes a great figure, but certainly the kookiest looking out of the 4 figures. I've always wondered, too, how does he run that fast and his bowl doesn't fly off? I've asked that before, but seriously, is it the Speed Force that holds his cereal bowl on his head? Here's an image of Barry in his new suit, and it's probably the best one that I could find, and comparing them side by side, I do understand that the artwork has him depicted as gray and red, but that's because it's light shining off the black. I think it really is intended to be a black and red suit. Now this figure is actually pretty much detailed like the artwork. It probably has a few more places here and there where there's actually a bit more detail to try to make it work better and be more streamlined and make more sense, but I think in general that Todd's done a good job with his team recreating this artwork into an action figure. I wonder if Todd has access to the original character designs. I bet you he does. I bet you we don't see the original character designs that he's given to base the figures off of. Okay, so one more basic figure before we have a little sneak peek at the collect-to-build figure, and that would be Wally West in the blue suit. And I gotta tell you, as much as I find myself to be a big fan of the red/maroon, depending on who's coloring him in at the time, that suit, I do like him in that suit. I also will say that when they first introduced the temporary blue suit, I thought, you know, that works too. It really makes the red hair pop, and let's face it, with red hair, it's nice to have something that really contrasts that, and the red doesn't really contrast the orange that they use to paint the red hair. So I was always kind of a low-key big fan of the blue suit. It's nice to have a figure of this. It is the exact same sculpt that's been used, let's see, on Barry, and then Barry, the variant from the 2-pack, and then of course we have Reverse Flash, and then we have the first version of Wally, so that's 4 times that this has been used. And then now on the blue version of Wally, so I think it's been used, what, 5 times? They've used this sculpt 5 times? I gotta say though, I hope to God, hope that they fix the stupid, confounded ankle problem with this body buck. Because my Wally West, when you stand him up, you know what he wants to do? Fall on his face. Not because he's drunk, but because the ankles suck. There is nothing for them to grab onto. They are so rounded, and there is no clickety-clicks. And I get it. The clickety-clicks in these ankles, quite often they're not in the right spot, and your figure is leaning too far forward or too far backwards, but I would take that over no clickety-clicks any day. All right, now one more figure to look at, and that is the collect-to-build Darkest Night. Once you've purchased all these figures and you've assembled it together, you get something that will look something like this. I sure hope to God that the ankles, knees, and groin area, where the legs attach to the body, I hope that's all nice and tight and stiff. Otherwise, we're going to have a long, gangly, top-heavy thing that just wants to fall over on its big, dark face all the time. And that's going to suck. That means he's going to fall over on the shelf, and all your figures are going to fall over like dominoes, because of course you got to put the big ones in the back. And then they knock over all the smaller ones and they get scratches on their face and on their paint jobs, and then you freak out and you gotta go buy another version of the same figure you already bought because it's got a big scratch across the chest, and that's no good. I'm sure Todd would be happy because it's more product sold, but for those of us who are collectors, we like to keep our figures generally minty mint. So this Darkest Night figure could pose a little bit of a hassle. Wow, that's a lot of speculation, isn't it? I'm sure it's fine. It's kind of neat that it's not just black, that it's a little bit sort of kind of translucent. It looks like it's like a purpley translucent plastic. I like it. I personally, I can't wait to actually, when I do the video, have gold Wonder Woman facing off against him. You know, kind of like the end of the whole death metal saga was Wonder Woman versus the Darkest Night here. You know what would have been cooler though than having this figure made out of like a translucenty, like a very dark translucenty purple plastic? It would be actually painting him in that paint that reflects no light. That black paint that absorbs all light. I think I'll do that. I think I will absolutely do that with this version, with this figure, because then you really will have the Darkest Night. Either way, the wave looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. At first, I was kind of annoyed, like I said before, because we have Jay Garrick and Wallace West in this suit before we have them in their regular suits. But in the end, I know we'll probably get those characters anyway. And this wave, like I said, just looks like a lot of fun. It is currently up for pre-order on McFarlane Toys website and Big Bad Toy Store and probably a whole lot of other places. So pre-order it while you can. I'm sure that it won't be coming out too long from now because we all know that Todd's got a record of things being revealed and then them starting to hit stores within a few weeks sometimes of the reveal of that figure. And I guess that's probably it. Yeah, I think I've said everything else I wanted to say. So, all right, bye. Have a DC day, everybody.